thank you for the welcome and thanks for being here during the lunch break. So I'm Caitlin from PA Editorial. We provide peer review management services for publishers, societies, and even research institutes. And while I was preparing for this lightning talk, I was kind of thinking about the angle and what do we really do? And a lot of what we actually do now is actually helping on a human level the stakeholders in the scholarly publishing ecosystem really to navigate that change. They're often using lots of different and brilliant AI tools or non-AI tools. Different submission systems and platforms are all different. Sometimes they're working within them, without them, trying to bypass them, accidentally or deliberately. But ultimately, they're trying generally to do the right thing, trying to collaborate, and trying to be empowered through that process. So I think collaboration is the key word here, particularly during times of change and upheaval, which, my goodness, we really are going through, as we heard from that roundtable discussion earlier. So I like to think of peer review as being a collaborative trust system. And yeah, trust is the sort of word of the day, and even mistrust, we were hearing that last roundtable. But fundamentally, it relies on trust, so trusted authorship, editorial judgment, reviewer expertise given in good faith, transparent processes. So even if you don't have transparent peer review, but being transparent about the fact that your processes are as they are, and those are being adhered to, and that there's accountable decision-making throughout the process. But I'd like to argue that trust it's like a living thing. It's vulnerable. It's something that's really acted through that human collaboration, regardless of the system, regardless of the process, regardless of the tools. Never forget that we're working with human beings, and we are human beings. So coming back to that concept of change and some of the drivers that we're seeing, obviously these will all be familiar, rising submission volumes. I mean, they just continue to rise exponentially, increasing research integrity scrutiny again. And I was talking to somebody about this earlier, that it's not just the output of new papers where we're seeing this, new submissions, but it's retrospective. So we're going back through the scholarly record, seeing retractions. Perhaps that's actually a good thing, because we've got the tools and the process and maybe the psychological safety to be able to go through that research record. But so many challenges, and that creates a mistrust in ourselves and vulnerability in that trust ecosystem. And of course, as we know, rapid technological and AI integration, but still the expectations of speed. I mean, I've been hearing about publishers, slow down with this research output, focus on the quality, but speed is still important, particularly in some disciplines where you really want to get that new research out there. So how do we intentionally sustain and nurture trust and collaboration as we navigate that change together within peer review? So actually, within the work that we've been doing at PA Editorial, just sharing some reflections again, but coming back to that point about collaboration, driving, empowering change. Collaboration, change management, it's about people. We've got a bit of a structure that we follow when we're working with publishers in particular on change management programs. For example, moving from one submission platform to another, adopting a new tool, changing your business model in publishing, whatever the context is, having some kind of a structure, but a human-led structure is super important. First step is defining the change, defining it in process terms, but also in human terms, and making sure that each stakeholder is considered in that process. It's the who, the what, the why, the where, and the when of the change. But the key one is the why. Why is this change happening? What does it mean for me in that process? We analyse, particularly the change readiness. So, of course, there's practical applications of this. For example, if you're moving a workflow, how can you make that move without compromising what you've already got? we engage and co-design, making sure that everyone feels a sense of ownership in that process. And aligning people. Everyone's going to have a different perspective, but there will be commonalities. And of course, this isn't just a static process. It's a living thing, just like the trust that it engenders. We need to go back and refine and change, because change, we'll see, is a constant. So it's all about the why, and also sometimes the why not. Why are we not doing this in the future when we're doing it now? So sometimes it's a why not as well as the why. So there is nothing permanent except change. Heraclitus, I think, came up with that. I'm a classicist, so I'm going to attribute it to him. But trust, that vulnerable living thing, it's not self-sustaining, but it can be sustained by being empathetic, focusing on the human, taking shared responsibility and accountability for what we do. So this is where documentation is really, really important in that change management process. And being collaborative, but being stewards of that process. And to summarise, when collaboration underpins change management, peer review becomes more resilient, more future ready, and I think ultimately actually more empowering for the people who sustain it. That's all of us, and people who are not in the room. So thank you. I'm here with my colleague Lizzie Dawes over there from PA Editorial. If you want to chat, share any reflections, either after this session or rest of the day and tomorrow. Thank you.